This is Zach with Less Lawn, and here today to talk about xeriscaping in Utah. So there's an article directly beneath this video that's going to have a lot more details, but I really did want to provide just a very short overview. So one thing to think about is Utah is absolutely massive. I grew up in California, I live in Colorado now, and I've done that drive many times, and Utah is just expansive. So with that comes many different types of climates, and really different types of ecosystems. So all that means is, as you're doing some of your research, something that might work in St. George will not necessarily work in somewhere like Logan, for example. So at the very start, just really make sure that you're looking at what zone you are. So USDA has a hardiness zone map, and make sure that the plants that you're choosing are going to be appropriate for that zone. So xeriscaping, we're talking about looking for plants and landscaping that is really smart from a water standpoint. So there's a lot of ways that you can do that. I would suggest looking up different types of rock gardens. That's something that we're seeing as a really common kind of lawn alternative in those types of spaces. Something else that you might consider is a water feature, right? It's a nice way to add kind of dynamic interest to your property, but it's still very much water conscious, right? You're not constantly just pumping water into a lawn. It's something that's hopefully cycling through, and you could even use kind of gray water or something like that. Something that is in our yard, which again, Colorado, but it's not very different from a lot of the landscapes in Utah, is we have a lot of succulents. So we like to do kind of hardier plants. So you can consider if you're in Moab, for example, something like yucca. But the way that we did it is we kind of split those plants up, and then we use succulents to fill in the space between those plants, right? So you're sort of layering maybe larger shrubs or tree types of plants, and then you layer in more medium size and then small, but between those, it's really nice to have something that's going to kind of take off even in a dry climate, and we find that succulents do a really nice job for that. I've got the article up here, so again, just trying to give the overview here. I really suggest that you read through, because you're going to find a lot more. And then just one last note. So a lot of folks, there's xeriscaping and then there's xeroscaping, right? Xeriscaping, we're still using drought tolerant plants. It's about efficient irrigation, so using drip systems, getting a ratio. That's something that we use at our house, which is basically just a smart, what do you call it? Irrigation system that's going to help ensure that if you just had rain, you're not overwatering, that sort of thing. So that's xeriscaping. It's still some water involved. Then you have xeroscaping, which is where you're using plants that that really don't require water at all. A lot of that's going to get more into kind of rocks and stones and hardscaping. Personally, I think xeroscaping is just fine, especially if you can find native plants that are going to work well in your space. So again, just a high-level overview. Please take a look at the article. We've got a chat at the bottom right of your screen too. Feel free to use that at any time if you have questions. Would love to hear from you. Thank you.